We're going to move on to turn 1 of the War of Turkish Liberation. Get a look at this. Something I forgot to mention, though, in my intro. This originally had come with the S&T magazine number 309. So that was where the origin point was. And it has a lot of good info on the war, as usual. Typical S&T goodness. Lots of good information and explanations of what happened, along with other good articles as usual in there too. But that was kind of where I first got this a while ago and had played it, I think once before. Did I play it twice? Maybe even twice. I can't remember exactly. It's been a while. Yeah, I need to put this back. I did a couple, I kind of rearranged a little bit of the setup I had going. Like especially, like kind of redid the, defensive areas here in the west, the word I wanted, in the west. Not a lot of changes, just I moved a couple guys around to cities and stuff because I was a little bit worried about the irregulars being subverted and causing some problems, but I still wanted like a solid line, so I just moved them around a little bit because if they get subverted, say flip to the imperialist side, I don't want to be able to immediately like occupying Afyon or Eskin. I forget that is a misspelling. That is not the right name of the city. But anyway, that's it could potentially create problems. So I just kind of want to be a little bit slightly more cautious in that. But otherwise, it's all the same. Then I've added these dice here. I'll be using the green for. I think I slightly adjusted the Greeks too, but I added this green here for the I'm going to use green for the imperialist faction, so I'm kind of keeping with the theme of the sorry, I moved these guys earlier. I need to put those back. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, keeping with the theme of the anti-Turkish side being represented with green dice, like I did for the Italian-Ottoman War, and I'll use the black dice for the revolutionary side. So then I just put these out to mark what each of the factions' income is for replacement points, so that I don't have to look up in the book every time, just so I can or try to just remembering offhand, maybe get it wrong. I just have that there just so that I have a reference point immediately. There are things that can happen that'll change them a little bit. If certain international factions get involved, and they can change like Greeks and the Armenians and stuff. And there's also the I'm actually gonna put the marker back onto 4. There's the Grand National Assembly prestige track that'll change when that Grand National Assembly comes in. It'll change the Turks RPs depending on their thing, their level of prestige. Comes in at 4, but that's not actually going to be in play until I draw the event. So that's just kind of a little bit of some slight changes that I did between videos, but otherwise it's pretty much the same. And I put the naval gunfire marker, the French one. The Georgians on coastal hexes can get support from the French naval guns, so if there's combats there, they may deploy the naval guns. All right, so let's just get started. And we start off with our random events phase. So a couple event chits. Let's pull one. Let's see what we get. Oh, and right away we have the Grand National Assembly. Oh boy. All right. I'll explain how that works in a second. I was hoping we'd at least get a couple turns before that would occur, but there we go. We got it over here. And the Caliphate Army. Okay. So let's see, where's the Caliphate Army deploy? Caliphate Army. The Allies allowed the Ottoman Sultan, who had been the title of Caliph, to form a military force fighting against the nationalists. The Imperialist military may deploy the 3, however you say that word, the Caliphate Army units anywhere within 3 hexes of Constantinople in the international zone. They move out of the zones to attack Turkish national units. To attack Turkish national units, they must first exit the international zone. This is a no event if the Grand Assembly is 9. Oh, okay. So if there was max prestige, then the Sultan doesn't get a has to be full max. Geez, then they don't get to show up. But it's not. So we're going to deploy these Okay, they're very weak though, so there's really not much there. But they deploy next to Constantinople. Okay, so we'll just put them up here. It's gonna be it's slightly annoying because the imperialist player doesn't have to throw them in right away, so they can actually just kind of keep them up here and just as a threat and an annoyance. And it might actually matter now because if since the Grand National Assembly is in play, so this is out. Let me explain a bit about how this works. Put that back. So it comes in at 4. So anytime now it works 2 ways, both offensively, or I say for and against the Turkish player. So every time they lose a city or a unit of theirs is destroyed, then we're going to put it for a total. I'm going to kind of simplify the process because I don't want to take a lot of dice rolling, but what we're going to do is I'm going to set the units aside on the track, and then I'll put a dice for when cities fall. And then for on the opposite end, if the Turks destroy an imperialist unit or recapture or capture a enemy imperialist city, then they also get they're going to get the units and the marker and a dice to mark that. So at the end of the turn, in the final end of turn segment, we roll a dice or roll a die for every unit/city that was added to the total, and depending on the roll, it'll add a point to either the Turkish player or the imperialist player, and whoever has the highest total, it moves the track either up or down, or if it's a tie, then it doesn't move at all. So, for example, if say 3 Turkish units were destroyed and 2 imperialist units were destroyed, then at the end of the turn we'd roll the dice for them, and if the Turks say they had the roll result, it's basically a 50-50 on each one. 1 to a 3 is bad for the Turkish player, regardless of thing. 4 to 6 is good for them. So let's say they rolled a 1, a 2, and a 6. So that would be the imperialist player rolled that on the Turkish units. So the 1 and the 2 would give them a point. The 6 means that they don't get a point for it. And say the Turkish units rolled and got 2s on all of it, which means they don't get a point. If they rolled a 4, 5, or 6 on them, on the imperialist units, they would get a point. So then it would be 2 points for the imperialist player and no points for the Turkish player, means that the prestige would shift down because the imperialist player had more points at the end of the turn. It'll make a little bit more sense when you actually see it in action, at least how it works, but that's kind of the explanation. If you can make heads or tails of that in your head, it's awesome. But let's just move on there. So it starts at 4, which does also, now that they're considered to be at medium prestige, that actually gives them 5 replacement points a turn at medium prestige. So they have a slight increase there, which is good for them. And let's move on now to the replacement points phase. So I believe we start with the Turkish player, I believe, it starts, but no, I can't remember. Wait a sec, let me just double check here. Yeah, we get the replacement phase. Yeah. Yep, we do Turks, then Bolsheviks, then the imperialist faction. Okay. So what do the Turks want to buy for this round? They have 5 points to spend. Let's see what their kind of situation is. What is it they want to do? Well, we know we need to hold against the Greeks, who are going to be attacking. Probably not. They're not going to be able to advance super far yet. Maybe I should have put this guy actually in Daucus here. Yeah, that would have made more sense because he needs to be able to resist a little bit of attacks. Yep. Okay. So what do the Turks want to buy? I think we're going to need a few supply columns to help stiffen the defense here, because this is going to be a bad seed for a while. I think we need to do that. I think we can get an air support marker. Do we want to buy some units to help with the attack in Armenia, or do we want to try to subvert some of these Armenian irregulars? That seems like it might be a good idea, because we're gonna have to, because these irregulars can be such a pain, especially in the mountains area. I think we definitely want to at least get rid of this one, and maybe we can kind of make our way into the north area here. So let's try to subvert this irregular. So a roll of a 1 will bring it over to the Turkish side. Roll of a 6, nothing will happen. Everything else is just eliminated. A 2, okay, so it's just eliminated. So we've gotten rid of this Armenian irregular. That's good. We still got 1 more point to spend. We can still spend another unit. Or we can spend, no, we're gonna need to kind of slow down the Greeks a bit more, or try to. So I think we're gonna buy our own irregular, and we can put them anywhere in the Greek zone. I think we'll drop them here. So we're gonna need to try to slow it down, even though these can be subverted, but at the very least, it'll make them waste replacement points on doing that, even if it's just like the Azerbaijani points. And then let's put these guys down, put 1 up in Pakazir, and 1 here in Afyon. And we got the air support marker. I'm just gonna leave them up here until it's used. I think that'll do it for there. Then the Bolsheviks. What do we want to do with the Bolsheviks? Because they have a pretty decent force already. I feel like maybe we could just get another supply, maybe. Or do we want to try to subvert? Because the Georgians, we want to try to bulldoze through the Georgians as fast as possible, and they have a pretty decent force already. So I think let's just we're going to subvert, because we're going to try to, we want to try to get to maybe Tiflis and topple them as soon as possible and just hold this area. I think that seems like a decent idea. Let's try to subvert these 2 irregulars. So we'll roll 2 dice. I'm going to roll for the right one first, and then the left. So there's no conversion to the revolutionary side. They just die on 1 to a 5. So right first, dead, and the left one, dead. Okay. So both these guys are just gone. Actually, oh shoot, I think I had 1 extra because that was a replacement. Oh, I had 1 extra guy on there. He shouldn't have been there. Okay, and so instead we'll say it was maybe this guy. Yeah, I guess this guy instead. How about that? Yeah, that was my mistake. Okay. Then we'll go on to the Imperials. So let's just do Georgia first. Georgia's got 1. They'll just buy back 1 of these irregulars because they don't know much else to do. Just drop them over here. Azerbaijan doesn't really need to spend its points on anything. I think they'll just spend this. Let's try to subvert this Turkish irregular. So this is the one to change it over. 6, nothing happens, and then the I use a green dice, and then the anything in between is just gone. Nothing happens. Wow. I was really lucky on the Turks. Nice. Okay. So that guy's fine. Armenians, probably just they need to try to stiffen defenses again with some more irregulars. Drop them back here again. Maybe another one. Pop it here so we can kind of spread out and cover these areas. Yeah, that seems like a decent idea. Then onto the Greeks, who have 4. And oh boy, they're gonna definitely get 1 air support for sure. I think they'll spend it on they have a nice, do we want to get infantry? Or do we want to no, we should get a couple cavalry brigades. So 1, 2, 3, and maybe let's get just a step 1 infantry unit. That seems like a, or should we get maybe one the extra air support in case the Turks try to counterattack? Yeah, we'll get the 2 air supports because we're gonna have to. We can get, if we use the air support, it'll help in dealing with the irregulars. So we'll get the 2 air support, and we got these 2 cavalry brigades which have to go into Smyrna. Okay, and that'll cover that. And then I think we have, let's just go on to that was the placement phase, really. I just kind of lumped them together because I don't think there's much of a reason not to. Operations segment, which is the movement and combat, so that's imperialist movement and combat. So the first thing, we'll just do Greeks first, I guess. Yeah, we'll just do Greeks first. So we're gonna move into attack into Edirne. Now that has special rules. Let me just make sure I get them right. The Edirne garrison. Where is the Edirne garrison? For sure. Oh, here it is. There we go. Yeah, here's on the movement. 8.3. Beginning of the game, Turkish nurse play deploys the 2. Yes. The Greek may try to force the surrender of the garrison. The attempt may only be made once per game. If any imperialist movement phase, the imperialist players move to Greek ground unit adjacent to Edirne. Prior to declaring an attack. Okay, so it's actually prior. He may roll a 1d6 to determine if the garrison surrenders. Apply the following modifiers to die roll. +1 if the Grand Assembly has not been played. It has. -2 if the Grand Assembly has been played and the current is at 8 or 9. It's not. So on a modified die roll of 3 to 6, Turkish garrison surrenders. Okay, both the garrisons are eliminated. They can be rebuilt, and the Greek units may advance into Edirne. On a modified die roll of 1 to 2, the garrison rebels against the authority of the Sultan and resists the Greek invasion. The imperialist player may conduct a normal ground attack against the Turkish nationalists, although he's not required to attack. He may attack in subsequent units. Okay, so they just moved next to him. So now we have to roll the die roll. And on that die roll here, there's no modification at all. So it's just a raw die roll. So 3 to 6 is what the Greeks want. And they got it. Okay. Edirne garrison surrenders. It's gone. And the Greeks will just advance into Edirne. And that is 1 point for capturing a city. Put that over here for now. Next up, rest of the movement phase. Where do the Greeks want to attack? They're definitely going to try to attack into here because they need to clear that up. I think they're going to try to go for that. Maybe 2. They don't have... Yeah, okay, so we'll go this. That's fine. Be like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it could go all the way over here. Yeah, we can get a concentric attack on that, so we'll definitely try that out. And then we'll go there. And how much do I want to bring in the... I suppose I want to use the supply. Yeah, I guess we'll move the supply. We don't have to use them, so we'll just move the supply lines into contact with the attacking units. We'll do this because then we will be able to support. Actually, put that guy over here because then when we take that, we'll be able to support a defense of that square. So we need to try to advance there. Okay. So combat. So we'll hit these guys trying to attack into this irregular unit. Now we get to roll on the irregular retreat before combat table. So there's the chance they'll basically be able to abort the attack because they're the irregular units. Should we deploy? Greeks will deploy air support to give us to give them a +1 to the roll. That way, and they already have a cavalry doing it as well, so it's going to be a +2. So it makes it easier to catch the irregulars. So a +2 to the roll. That's a 3 to come total, which is a retreat. So no, they are unsuccessful. The attack is aborted. It was just a waste. What a shame. Okay, well, that's good for, this is good for the Turks. Next up, we're going to do this attack into here. We are not going to use the air support on this one, but we still have a +2 because this is a concentric attack, which means we're attacking on opposite hex sides. So it's got another +2. That's a 4. 4 is a retreat. So once again, the attack is aborted. The Turks held really well there. That was very, very lucky for them. And now you can see what a pain these irregular units can be. They can't do that, by the way, if there are regular units with them in the hex. It has to only be irregulars. So yeah, major problem there. You're gonna have to really, you have to like spend points to kind of get rid of those as they go along. So you're gonna have to do more of that for sure. All right, moving on. That's gonna be the end of their turn. This is a potentially bad situation here too, because they weren't able to cover that guy. So this could get ugly. They might lose. The Greeks are probably going to lose this cavalry brigade to a Turkish counterattack. Probably. We'll see. Now let's go. Let's just do Georgians because they just need to. They need to move out and get ready to defend. I guess we'll put these guys in the mountain. Yeah, this is a bad situation for them. Oof. Yeah. They'll try to kind of make a cohesive line, but it's going to be really rough. But these are some decent defensive. This is a decent defensive unit. Decent defensive unit in Sejumi, which would be hard to crack, even with only coming at it from one side. So the stacking limits are going to hurt the Russians a bit here. They're going to have to try to break through these mountains, which can be hard because this is not this tree. This combat results tree is not great for the attacker unless you're at the really high odds end. You're likely going to take a fair number of losses in your attacks. So yeah, it can be a bit rough. Azerbaijanis have nothing to move. Armenia coming in. Let's see what's the best way to defend this. So they're going to move a regular unit here because they need to try to keep the because that's. I think they're going to move that guy here to help bolster that. They're going to try to defend that northern as much as possible. Ooh. Okay, then we got. Move these 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that guy in the van as well. So we'll be able to move out later. Cars and Sakamish are still backed up. That's probably about the best defensive line we can do. This might get attacked, but we should hopefully inflict some good losses on the Turks. So we'll see how it goes. They're not going to make it. The Armenians are not going to make any attacks. There's nothing to attack right now. It would just be bad results all around. These are strong Turkish units that are here. All right, now we go on to the revolutionary movement phase. So we have to do the Turks first, and they're going to do a bit of strategic movement. We'll move this unit here to Bursa. I think we'll move this guy here to maybe over here to that one. I can't pronounce it. Keep the guy in Ankara though. We don't want to move him. Too vital. Okay, now the rest of our movement. How do we want to attack the Greeks here? We definitely feel like we should. Well, let's do this. We're going to move this irregular here, this irregular here to help cover these. Move this one here. I think we'll do this guy. Yeah, there's enough movement, enough movement to get to here. And I think we'll drop even this supply convoy because we really want to make sure we destroy that Greek unit. And this guy, we could move him into Valkyria, though I'm not sure if that's actually necessarily the best idea. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. We could maybe get 3 units into this guy. It'd still be 1-to-1 probably. Yeah, let's move the supply convoy down to help support that defense. Okay. Next, I'll move on the Armenian front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't think there's any other movement we want to do here. The rest is just going to be attacks. So let's do that. All right, let's do this attack first. We're going to attack with... do I want to do an attack? No, wait, let's see here. We have 5, 11, plus auto-turret will help, but there's no supply convoys to support us. So attacking this Sarakamesh would not be a good idea yet. So we'll hold back on that. But we're going to attack into right here. These guys, I'll just throw all of them in just because whatever. Because they're going to have to try to catch them anyway. And then these guys here, all 3 of these units are going to attack into here. Try to seal this off. No attacks here. Yeah, we'll leave that. So let's resolve these real quick. There's going to be more on the Greek side. But let's do each of these right now. Okay. So we still have to catch them. So the Armenians are just going to be rolling. There's no bonuses. There's no cavalry. There's no air unit. I'm not going to deploy Turkish air support for this. So it's just it's the raw dice roll. So we need a 5 or 6 for, well, I should say they need a 1 to, oh, okay. Well, never mind. I got the 5. So the attack goes through. So we have 6, 9, 11 against 1 defense, which is automatically on the 7 to 1. It's rough terrain, so it will drop down to the 6 to 1. And on the 6 to 1 table, they're pretty much dead no matter what. It's just we'll have to see if we take any losses, because there's some bad results still there. So on the 6 to 1, let's see what we get here. Roll a 4. 4 for the Turks on the 6 to 1 table is a 0 attacker, 4 defender. So that was good. Okay, for them. Armenians destroyed, and they will advance into the hex. Now next up on this one, same thing. This is a mountain, so there's going to be a -1 to the die roll. So the Turks pretty much need a 6, unless should they deploy their air support. No, we'll just say we'll just do it. So the Turks need a 6 for this to go through. Okay, they don't get it. Good thing we didn't deploy the air support. So that attack is canceled. So that's the only change here on the Armenian front. 1 advance. That's it. Gosh, I totally forgot to put that. That's a destroyed imperialist unit. The Turks didn't lose anybody in that last round, so they're all good. The subverting does not count the same as destroying the unit, is my understanding, as far as I'm aware. It has to be combat. So 1 lost city so far, and then 1 imperialist unit. And then we're going to go over to the Greek side. No, that's rough terrain. Definitely don't want to try that. All right, so let's just attack into this. We're going to bring in all these guys here to attack into this cavalry brigade. And we will be deploying our air support. The Greeks will not be deploying their air support and will be expending the convoy for a move 1 shift on the column. So it's rough terrain, so it would be down 1 anyway, but we got 2, 4, 6, so it's a 6 to 1, plus then 7 to 1, with a bounce because of the support column plus the rough terrain, so it's just bounces. And then let's roll on the air support table. A 3 is recon. So any friendly land unit that is adjacent to the attacking units but not adjacent to an enemy unit may add its combat strength to the factor to the attack. We don't have anything like that, so that's done. Nothing there. But so we're going to be rolling on the 6 to 1 like before. So let's see what we get. A 6, that's definitely a good result. So we're not even going to find about the rest. That's another destroyed imperialist unit, and the Turks will advance. I think just the 1 unit though. Yeah, they'll advance with the 1 unit. Okay. So that's the end of the Turkish combat and movement phase. So overall, not a bad spot. If that's what we got going on. And then we have the Bolshevik turn. So the Bolsheviks really want to try to... Oh wait, is there a critical error here? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that was a... Okay. That's a little much even for me on how bad of an error that is, so I'm actually going to reshuffle this around because that's not good. Okay. Let me do it this way. Put the strong in Tifos. So, sorry, that was a little bit... I'm going to give a mulligan on that one because that I did not pay enough attention to. And if this was a opposed game, obviously that was just my bad, but I'm going to redo that for a little bit more action so that Georgia doesn't literally fall on the first turn. Okay. So with that said, we'll go 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so we'll advance those guys there. I think the Russians will go 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep that guy here, and we'll move this guy over that way. There we go. Yeah. And then those are probably fine. That's a... Oh wait, that's a mountain hex. They can't have both those there, so I'll actually have to shift that too. Okay. So as for that, in that case, we can do this. Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's just do, we're gonna do attack from these units onto this guy. That's a cavalry, so there's gonna be a +1, but the mountain would be a -1, so it's just a normal roll, 5 to 6. Okay, so the attack goes through, good for the Bolsheviks. It's gonna be, it's a 6 to 1 because of the mountain. 4, as we saw before, that's a good, so that Georgian unit is destroyed. And the Russians will advance 2 units. And next up, we're going to hit with these guys here. 9 against 2 is a 4 to 1, is the best odds we can get. And 4 to 1, Mountain would drop it to 3 to 1. We will expend the supply convoy. I think we'll expend this one, actually. We'll expend a supply convoy to bring it up to, back up to 4 to 1. I think that'll cover it, so we're gonna roll on the 4 to 1 table. 2. 2 on the 4 to 1 is a 1-1. Okay, so the Georgian unit's destroyed. Oh, we gotta put that over. That's not a Turkish unit. I was gonna destroy that, so it doesn't go in the G&E. And then we'll just take 1 hit on this guy here. We'll advance. I think we'll advance with both these. Yeah. Okay. And I think that'll do it for the Bolshevik movement in combat, because they're not going to do anything else there. Yeah, so that'll be the end of that. And with that, we go to the end of turn segment, where we're going to look at this. So we have 2 imperialist units that were destroyed by the Turks, and then 1 Turkish city was captured. So we're going to roll some dice for these to see what happens. So for the Turks, they want 4 and ups on these rolls. They didn't get any, so they have no points for this. And the imperialist player wants 1 to a 3. They didn't get it, so there was no points earned by either side in this phase. And therefore, the prestige marker for the National Assembly does not move. It stays exactly where it was. So good. Oops, I knocked over the event. Anyway, so that's the end of that turn. And we move on to turn 2 for the next video. All right, good stuff so far. We're going pretty decent for the Turks so far, about as good as they could have hoped for turn 1. So good on them. We'll see if their luck holds up. But there's going to be a crop of Greek reinforcements coming in at least by turn 3, plus whatever they get in the replacement point. So they're going to get hard pressed on here soon, especially if these units start getting subverted. So we'll catch you next time.